Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to a, what is, in terms of a playlist, installments that are kind of far in between. It's All Content, and It's All Content has sort of evolved into something that it wasn't, but now it is. So now that's what it is. And it's most often when someone sends in, drops off, brings by a rig for the Canyon to do Canyon things to, whether it be evaluate it, modify it, upgrade it, tune it, adjust it, what have you. The one in question for the day is this little assemblage of parts, which is, to my understanding, an ECX Temper, which used to have little wee babby axles on it that look like this, because it's basically like an 18th scale. It's been stretched. It's been fitted with TRX4 axles. It has a nifty little bracket for the front to make servo and axle for the TRX4 axles. It came fitted with these tires, which appear to me to be fake Duratrax scalers. I think that's right. They were ventilated with what was informed to me to be a 1.3 screwdriver, a tiny little Phillips head screwdriver. So when you ventilate a tire with a 1.3 screwdriver, you can do this. And this will compromise performance. This will compromise performance perhaps more than anything. So it has been fitted with some cut, siped, tuned, tweaked, 3D insert fitted Canyon trails on carbon wheels. They're very light. And I think that the lightness is going to benefit us because this is powered by a little 380 brushed motor running off of a 1080. The only drawback I can see to this thing, aside from the fact that it needs a little bit of TLC, is, where is it? DX3. No endpoint adjustments, trigger feels terrible, steering wheel feels terrible, everything, it's Spectrum. It's Spectrum, it's just Spectrum. So, the gentleman who modified this and sent it in has, I think, done a fair, decent job. I believe he said it's Capra links. Most of these are Capra links. Some of the links need to be replaced just by looking at it. What it needs is basically what I would call a tear down in service. I don't know the condition of the insides of the front nor the rear axles. The rear pumpkin angle needs to be changed. Front pumpkin angle needs to be changed. There's a lot of stuff that needs looked at. I don't know if the C-hubs have been caster flipped. There's a lot of stuff that we can do and more than likely will do. But before we address any of that, we have to do the thing. And the thing is we have to drive it. We have to take it outside where rocks live. And we have to see what we think. During a recent live stream, the live stream where we unboxed it, I whizzled it around on the bench, which looked something like this. And I think, I stated during that I think the biggest problem we're going to have is steering throw. Most of which is the responsibility of this. I call it like 70-30. 70% the inscrutable adjustability of the Spectrum OE radios, and the rest of it being the 35 kg servo, which is not making 35 kg. I mean, look at the movement on the horn. Yeah, no. I shouldn't be able to move that at all. Typically on a 35 kg servo, it's just locked. So that 35 kg is not doing 35 kg, and then it is saddled also with this. Then we have to remember, we have the gear reduction of TRX4 portals, married to a tiny little gearbox that is effectively an 18th scale gearbox. Sounds like a little tank. But it's a rock crawler. So as long as we're putting power to the ground, we're good. We are sitting at 250 wide and about 325, 323 to 325 on the wheelbase. These are perfectly acceptable numbers. These are basically the numbers of a TRX4. Like, it only looks crazy because it doesn't have a big body over it. Oh, here you go. See what I mean? Right? Like, it could be robots in disguise. It's just a 10th scale whoop, with a tiny little bit in the middle. So I think that is going to help it. The shocks feel good. Nice. Feels a little more loosey-goosey in the front because in the nature of a front axle, it has more weight on the front axle. This is a guy that I'm looking forward to, perhaps, potentially, possibly, more than others, because it has problems. Yes. Like, stuff like, he used what he had. So we have the big angled axial ends in a situation where it needs no angle. They should just be straight. The rear links could probably, I say this having not wheeled it, the rear links could almost certainly benefit from being high clearance. The rear uppers are too long. They need to be shorter or just mounted to a different, nope, they can't. Well, I guess we could go to the outside of the rails. They give you the 3 holes, but if you see right there, that's the gearbox. So I guess you could, I mean, that would not be fun. You could try to mount them to the inner hole, like these are mounted in the second hole. There's going to be some stuff. We're going to address some stuff, but we're not going to address anything until we find out what the issues are. You know what would look, you know what? I'm going to have to see if I can find a longer one. I don't know. I feel like it needs an antenna. Does it? It might need an antenna. Anyway, first things first, I'm the realist. We're going to find out how it do. It already gets plus points for me because it looks kind of wacky. I kind of appreciate this sort of thing. It's a homunculus. It's built out of a bunch of parts that aren't necessarily supposed to go together. I do love a TRX4 axle. The only thing I don't like about this is, but what I do like is this is a tiny little thing. That is a 1500. That is a 3S 1500 in there, and it fits with no issue. I would also like to take this moment to point out, for those of you who watch all the videos, here's some little bonus stuff for you. Browsing around Amazon, Ovonic 1500. Look how small it is. I need to point something out to you. There it is. This is a Z850. How are they doing this? How are they doing this? It's like, it's not even 25% bigger than an 850. I mean, come on. They're getting a little crazy with the wire, though. 12 gauge? 12 gauge. Come on. I think the 2-pack was like $25. So, yeah. I mean, yeah. So we're going to take this thing out. We're going to do the thing where we go up and down rocks, or at the very least attempt to. I'm going to see what I think, and then we're going to see what happens after that. It will be collectively, I hope, interesting to at least some. All right, let us see what we were working with. It sounds a bit like a hairdryer. It doesn't have any particular noise. It's kind of a white noise generator. Overall top speed, wide open. Okay, well I think that's 25% reverse. It's not bad. It's just above walking pace. Did you hear the, wait, let me get it back again. Did you hear the vacuum cleaner, hairdryer, something? Throttle response, I don't know, something about a 380, I guess. Actually feels pretty good. Yeah, okay. Oh, the steering is abysmal. Oh, it's so bad. Like you saw, this is a class 2. Watch the turning circle. But oh, Canyon Trail's doing the job. I think we could benefit from a little bit more wheel weight. Look how low he is. 4.65 on portals is probably close enough. Would I want to go with like an LP on this? I don't think so. I think 465, 475 is going to be the sweet spot here. I think mostly what we need is, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to make assumptions. I'm hoping that the gentleman who sent this in didn't send it in the hopes that I would change out the radio, because, oh my God, I desperately want to change out the radio. The only point of contact between you, and in this case by you I mean me, and the vehicle, this guy over here, is the thing in your hand. This is the only point of interface. This point of interface is god-awful. I hate the Spectrum radios, the DX3, the SLT3, the SL3, the DX5C, all of them. Ergonomically, they are poor. Interface-wise, they are worse. I recommend a Spectrum radio to no one. Ever. Honestly, I don't even know if the servo is that bad. I can't tell. We are definitely, however this goes back to the owner, we are going to put a radio link receiver in here, and we are going to run this on a radio link for the duration of time that it is here, because I cannot abide this radio. I can barely focus on how the thing performs. The steering is so bad. It's beyond bad. And it definitely needs a dry slide treatment. This is a squeaky boy. Everything is squeaking. But overall, in terms of geometry, the steering is so bad. Never in my days have I experienced servo on axle with steering this bad. It has to be a tag team effort between that servo and this radio, because there's nothing about that vehicle that should make the steering like this. Not like this. Geometry, shock positioning, it feels okay. It feels all right. I don't think there's a lot of fundamental stuff that need to be done. We need to, that is definitely 25% reverse. We definitely need to change that to 50 or 75%. I cannot see past the steering. There's where I think high clearance. I do think high clearance links in the back. Yeah, we're not self-writing that. I'm just kind of building a mental checklist. And I do think there is some rod end conflicts taking place. Yeah, that lift, that rise right here in the front, we get, that front tire loses contact right there. It should not. It should not. What I would have surprising, if there's a surprising thing here, maybe for me, the way I'm looking at it, TRX 4i's Temper. I don't have a problem with the powertrain at all. G1 1080, non-V2 1080, and like a Dynamite 380. It's fine. Like it works. Even with there's an on-off effect of the trigger. Let me see if I can get somewhere framed up. Okay, right. Oh, that needs way more reverse. Okay, let's get right about here. Okay, that's it. That's minimum. That's minimum throttle right there. That feels like about 25% throttle. So as soon as you tip in, you can pull the trigger to like halfway and the speed goes up about 10%. That has nothing to do with the speed control. That has nothing to do with the motor. That has everything to do with how the potentiometers in here are metering that power output. The steering is not livable. A TRX4 axle does not have the best steering. This is unmanageable. No one can live with steering response this poor. This is Red Cat level poor steering response. And I know the axles have more. So, dadgummit, we are going to end up, we're going to end up, we'll put some money in this. We're going to end up. But the first step, I don't need, I could tell within the first 90 seconds. I was just kind of trying to form a mental picture. This thing needs, what does this thing need? It needs a complete teardown. All the way down. Everything. We are going to canyon spa this fellow. And you know what we're going to do? I'm going to try to do this all in one. This might be a long episode. We're not that long into it, but this might be a long episode because we are going to do a progression. We're going to go through this. I think the inserts in the tires are actually good. Like Canyon Trails doing the thing. I didn't see any moment. Let me come back around again. The reverse setting and the steering are unsurvivable. Yeah. That insert seems pretty good. This thing is not very heavy. It's a very soft insert in there, and it seems to be matching pretty well. I think a little bit heavier of a wheel. Steering servo change. We'll cover that while it's in progress, while we're stripping it down. Because we are going to, now what we're going to do is, I can't bear it. We are going to take this thing inside, and we are going to strip it down. It needs it. And we attack. We are back indoors. Let's first things first. I just love that a 1500. I mean, the 1500s have shrunk. The shrinkulation of the 1500s is great. So we only wheeled for about, what? I don't even know if it was 10 minutes. Yeah. 4.13. The 380 is going to bring with it... Oh, shut up, you pile of garbage. I love me a Spectrum radio, let me tell you what. They do a great job with those Spectrum radios if their job is to just do the worst things possible. Yeah, we could use more tire weight, wheel weight. Yeah, these inserts are powder soft, which is probably not hurting when we're talking about this guy. I think just a conventional, your run-of-the-mill Amazon 1.9 is going to be the guy. Let's get this stripped down. We'll get some boxes and bins to put stuff in. Let's see how these feel. Yeah, nice. Nice. I don't have to futz with the shocks. And if I don't have to futz with the shocks, that's a pretty good day. We'll just pull it all apart. What I mostly want to do is get a look. I need a box or a bin or a container. That'll work. I want to see what we're working with inside the axles, mostly. That'll fall out. That'll fall off. Yeah, we are definitely... You stay over there. We're definitely going to be pulling some stuff apart. When we say spa day, we mean spa day all the way down. Trust me, I'm as it says right here, stand back. I'm an expert. I will pull something apart in mere moments. It's not like we're talking about anything that's remarkably complicated. As long as I can keep a track of all the fasteners as I pull it apart. The goal is to leave all of the links as they are. I would honestly, this is me, and when I say I would, I guess that's a tense That's a tense issue, because the reality of that is I am going to change the wheelbase. I think 313 or, oh, that is very rusted. I think 313 or maybe shorter. Oh my goodness. Thread lock and rust really go together. Come on, don't let me down. Get all the way in there. Whoo! That was a nail biter. Don't know why you wouldn't just use a screw pin there. I think this needs to be a shorter wheelbase. 250 wide is fine. I think that the 323, 324, 325 that we're sitting at is a little bit long. I would like to, again, I'm messing with my tenses again. It's not that I would like to. What I'm going to do is I will make the changes as I see fit. If it comes in, this is, I mean, depending on how you want to categorize it, this is the risk you take. If you send something in here, you can be fairly confident that this is what's going to happen. Unless it's, you know, a fully built RC Speedy with a tremendous amount of money put into it. In that event, we're going to drive it a little bit and then we're going to give it back. But if it's a Temper converted to a, what? Oh, that is completely stripped out, is it not? Yeah, that's gone. It's gone. We might not be able to get it off and it's not going to matter. Yeah, completely rounded out. So that horn belongs to that servo now, but that's fine because this servo is not going back in. I would actually like to, the sick, twisted part of me wants to put that on the servo tester just to find out how bad it actually is. It's bad. I don't know how bad, but it's bad. That is, you like to see those orange pockets in the bottoms of the screws. This, I've never seen this particular servo on axle adapter before. This is pretty clever. Where has this been hiding to 4-link a TRX4 axle? Yeah, this thing needs more than a little bit of TLC. We're gonna pull that all the way apart. But let's see if we can. Yeah, no power tools on the drive shafts. Oh, that one came out fairly easily. I would change these drive shafts as quickly as I could. We will see what we have available. Gonna gut it down. Oh, yes, the one stainless steel screw. Couple washers. I'm not a washer guy. If you see me not putting washers back on, there's a reason. I didn't even pay attention to the fact that there's a big old link riser on there. Okay. All right. We're going to get all of... I'm a jellyfish. Oh, beware me. We're going to get this whole thing pulled down. That is my guarantee to you, because we're going to change all the links. More than likely the drive shafts. I would like to see what the inside of the gearbox looks like. We're going to get to all that. We are definitely going to replace those. Those look like their best days are behind them. We will get all the cage pieces unmounted. Oh, there's still a lot of Phillips hardware on there. Let's just hope that it's like 2.5. I mean, we can drill out whatever. There's a lot of, like, it's smooth, but there's a lot of resistance. A lot more resistance than one would anticipate. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out what's why. as we get friends. Oh my. Oh my. Ordinarily, we don't see grease splooging out the axle end. We're going straight to the paper towel. Oh yeah. I'm a grease guy. I like a lot of grease. I have been outdone, for sure. That's a lot of grease. I mean, it's gonna be all over me by the time we get this thing apart. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, I think I got it. We could have crammed a regular one in there. That is completely correct. How did I... Yeah. I grabbed the wrong wrench. No, that thing's fine. I've never seen one of those stripped out before. Oh, it's just pushing grease out. Was that mounted backwards? It was. Yeah, the hexes are on backwards. Can't say I've seen that before. Yeah, these do not go that way. That won't fit in a wheel. These go this way because they're supposed to make it so that there's not a gap between the bearing and the hex, which will end up giving you a bent axle. This is a TRX4 stub, so odds are you're not going to bend it one way or the other. But the hexes are backwards. Also, I'm no huge fan of in general, I'm not a huge fan of the fitment of the Traxxas OE hex into a lot of different wheels. Also, I don't run plastic, so I don't need splines in the front. And when I say I'm not a huge fan of it, ask me how many TRX4 hexes I've removed from TRX4 axles. The number is maybe a couple. We are going to replace them with these. I don't remember explicitly why I bought those, but they're going on there. We also have, I can't remember what it came in, but we have a very chrome, I think we might have a red one though. If we have a red one, he's got to get a red one, right? We buy the 10 packs of cheap Amazon servo horns. We've got a gold one. No, I think we got to go with the gunmetal-y. Or do we go with the shiny chrome? Shiny chrome it is. I had a red one. I wonder who got it. There's a vehicle around here with a standard 24 millimeter horn that is red. I can't remember who. I cannot remember. Ooh, I want to get this pulled apart so bad. I want to throw all these fasteners away. I kind of want to throw all the plastics away too. How much we rebuild on this is TBD. We got to pull the other box off. I want to see what the ring and pinion look like. Like I say, it feels very smooth. It just feels like, and this is stated by someone who is a habitual overgreaser, these feel absolutely stuffed with oil. Oh, all right. Let's see what we got. Yeah, buddy. Yes. There's a bearing in there somewhere. That is outstanding. We are going to... Oh, that was gross. Let's do it again. Oh, baby. Oh. So, I don't know what the type of grease is. I don't know what the source of the grease was. That is usually... That's the look you get on grease when something's been underwater. I don't know if this has been underwater. I doubt it. But... Had to go get a Q-tip there. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gracious. I love grease. But, holy moly. The parts are actually in fairly good in fairly good nick, as they would say. Let's see. Oh, yeah. I can feel the weight. Oh, everything you touch. It's just... Grease should generally not be the color of... What's that island? What's up? Is it Michigan, where they're always trying to sell me fudge, but I can't eat nuts, so I can't buy their fudge? Your grease should generally not be the color of Merrimack Island. Does that sound right? Do you all get targeted ads for Merrimack Island fudge? I love fudge, but I have to basically buy it in person, because otherwise they're going to try to slip. They're going to try to slip nuts in it, and they're going to try to kill me. Yes, I am having a great time. I mean that. No facetiousness. Oh, we're going to change so many screws. How many screws that came in on this and go out with it is undetermined. That is not in bad shape, really. It's a little worn. Don't run these. I mean, sure, it's got a little happy mouth, but it kills. Like, it turns a portal basically into a straight axle. Like, you're taking like 5 millimeters of clearance away on the bottom, and it also makes your pumpkin extra fat. Look at that, and then look at that. Like, that's going to clear a lot better. So, clear better. Okay, there is the seal from that bearing. So what had happened is we basically got hydro pressure. The grease is so full that it basically it hydraulicked the seal out of the bearing. I don't think... Yeah, the pins are good. I grabbed an 050. I don't know how I wasn't... Maybe I wasn't looking. I grabbed an 050, not a 1.5. This is coming right out. Not a problem. Oh, these... Well, we'll wipe these down. These get to go in the bin. Someday we'll make, like, I don't know, the world's worst jewelry out of the 120 unused stock Traxxas hexes that we have. The weight of that is impressive. I mean, I know a Traxxas portal box is overbuilt, and honestly, the screws, the nuts, the bolts, the fittings are not in that bad of shape. They're just very dirty. We don't mind. We got a parts cleaner here. We are going to fire that up at some point during the day. This process will take up most of my day. I will go and do other things, and I will come back, and then I will leave, and then I will come back, and we will bounce back and forth. We will dance around, and we will get this thing rebuilt and reconfigured, and we will decide what we're going to attack cosmetically as we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's just muck. It's got a lithium smell. Smells lithium. I think that from this amount... Oh, man. Okay. So this is in the bearing seat. Some of that is not oil or grease. Like, it looks like some hair got in there. And then just... We have definitely gotten to the point where if the question is how much grease is too much grease, the answer is that. That's too much grease. It's basically hydraulicking the axles. Let's see, is the front equally bad? Yeah, the front is every bit as bad, but the front has the added bonus of being much, much dirtier. This is, and I say this with all honesty, this is not the dirtiest vehicle to cross my bench. That one will reside as the dirtiest, presumably for all times. Yeah, it's mostly just like, there is a, I want to see, I need a pick. Is that the seal blowing out, or is that just a grease cake? That is the seal blowing out. So that bearing is, not, the easiest way to throw around a term would be to say that bearing is shot. It's not shot. It is not worth fixing. There you go. The bearing's best days are long behind it, never to be seen again. And bearings nowadays are inexpensive. The beauty of an ultrasonic cleaner. If you don't own an ultrasonic cleaner, you should. If you don't own a compressor, you should. There's a lot of tools. If nothing else, deep diving into things like RC as a hobby is a fantastic excuse to buy yourself tools. An ultrasonic cleaner, particularly one that is heated, oh, it's amazing. And learn from my mistakes. Mine is full of a full gallon of Super Clean, the real non-purple power, the actual Super Clean. One ingredient different from Simple Green, and what a difference that one ingredient makes. I filled the whole chamber with it, and that was a mistake. When you get your ultrasonic cleaner, because I'm assuming you're going to get one, fill the chamber with distilled water. And then, when you need to clean, oh my goodness, when you need to clean parts like this, you get yourself little metal cups, like coffee cups for camping, perfect. You fill that with the solvent of your choice. You dump all of your nuts and screws and bolts in it, and you put it in, and then you hit the ultrasonic, and it will ultrasonic everything, and it doesn't dirty up the whole tank. I just filled the whole tank, a gallon of Super Clean. And what do? I set little containers into the Super Clean, and I ultrasonic them in the little containers, which is what is going to happen to all the plastics. It's going to happen to all the sintered products. It's going to happen to everything. We might as well pull this one all the way apart, see what we're working with. Yeah, it's every bit as full. This is an illustration of too much of a good thing. These are, I mean, it would beg a question. If that question is, which is worse, too little grease or too much grease? I think that they are negative in their own ways. This is negative in that performance is unquestionably going to be hampered. I want to say that, oh my God, I thought the other side was bad. I want to say that this thing's open ground speed is going to improve like 15%. Just by cleaning it out. Now it is our declared duty to pull the gearbox apart and see what it looks like inside the gearbox. Mostly just out of a curiosity. I don't know what an ECX Temper is, so I want to see if it has the things like all metal gears in the gearbox. I will tell you this right now. If there is a bearing in this vehicle right now, that bearing is not going back in. These bearings, best days are all long behind them. They have seen horrors, too many horrors. Like everything I touch is just exploding with grease. The stub axle also looks like it has seen a little bit of stuff. As long as they're not bent, we're in business. So what I'm going to do, here's what I'll do. Oh, it's just a hex. Yeah, you shouldn't be seeing that kind of grease outside a bearing. That's too much grease. It smells kind of nice. I kind of like it. All that grease, and look how little is on the actual teeth. Oh, it's so slow. Because what has happened is, because of that hydraulic action, yet another paper towel, all of the bearings are completely full of grease. So if you did want to drive it in the water, you could get away with it. Oh, it's only 2 more screws to see what the inside of this looks like. So what I'm going to do is I will continue along this path, the path of removing all fasteners. When we say spa day, we mean we tear it all the way down, and then we are indiscriminate. This is the beauty of a TRX4. It uses basically 2 lengths of fasteners for the entire axle. We're indiscriminate. We will clean all of them in the ultrasonic, and then we will brake clean them to remove any moisture off of them. Then we will go through those fasteners. We will discard the ones that we regard as discardable, and we will keep the others. That all needs to be cleaned out to get to those screws to pull those out. I think, is that another bearing seal? Is another bearing seal on there? No, that's just the groove left by the bearing seal. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, they really like that look. Is it? Could it be? Okay. I don't see how it could be, but are we picking up that color? No, this is more green, isn't it? Is that more green? Yeah, it's more green. I thought it packed it with Hater. I thought it was Hater packed. So yeah, that's too much grease. Yeah, so stripping it all the way down, I will get the gearbox out. We'll take a look at that. We will get all the parts taken off. Let me clean this off and see if it says RL on it. Oh, we just lost a kingpin bushing. Don't worry. Don't fret not. We have a drawer full. Let's see. R and L. Okay, yeah. We can caster flip this and then get that pumpkin angle set a little bit better. I really like this this truss. We will get this axle cleaned up. We will replace whatever parts we deem need to be replaced. We will throw these back in the box the stuff came in, because those are not getting put back on. Okay, the front one is a little more worn, but it's not bad. It will clean up just nice. What I would like to check, though, before we get into the full teardown. Okay. Yeah, I got plenty of covers. That's we got a virgin front. Have to trim it. We will see what we've got. Is that a rear? Which is more worn? Oh, this one for sure. Some came in with the guy as well, but this is a set from a TRX 6. So that's reverse rotation. Can't use that. The front is the same. We just have to cut it off. That's in about the same shape. So we will donate. We will swibbity swap. We will put this front housing on because it is in good shape. Well, I think this is unused. This is brand new. So we'll put that front housing in. The rear housing has got a little bit of wear on it. I do not have. It does not look like I have a rear housing that rear housing is about the same amount of wear on it. Yeah. All right. So we'll replace the front with the front. I'm probably just going to, yes, we are just going to RL. We're just going to donate new C-hubs for that, as we have some new C-hubs for it. Yeah. I will dig through the collection of diff covers. Oh, he likes red. Yeah, there we go. These are very lightly. They'll go through the cleaner as well. We will check on the condition of the port. Oh, look at that. That was brand new. There we go. We will check through the condition of the nut, like the boxes. I will be unable to tell until they're clean. When those are clean, we will determine whether or not they need to be replaced / refreshed. Oh, we've got some Triol brass inners. if the Triol brass inners cooperate with those brass outers, with the kuwus, that's pretty nice. I think that's all the weight this guy would need in the front. I think we'll just pop those on there. Also, generally less cleaning. There's going to be a lot of fasteners to dig through. I've got to get the rest of this pulled down. I've got to get all these put apart. I will find my jars. I will find my ultrasonic jars, and we will get to power blasting this down to a level of cleanliness. We will get all this pulled apart. We will see what we're looking at the fasteners on that. But I've got to go to lunch with my wife right now. So join me for what is for you about 3 seconds when we'll have this additionally further pulled apart, and we'll have it ready to go in the ultrasonic, and then we'll move on from there. You know what? You might think I'm lying, but I'm not. I love this. I love this. I love it. And we're straight back at it, joining my somewhat freshly defatted fingers, because I still, even at my advanced age, refuse to put gloves on unless I absolutely have to. And the super clean, it'll mess you up. It will mess you up. But what it does do is give you like some really clean hardware, and things like really clean gears. Those are as clean as with the day they were born. I mean clean. You heat it up. I heat it up to 50°C. I put the parts in little Costco sold. They were like little like I think they were tiny tiramisus, and they're really thick glass. And I have a bunch of them. And you just have to make sure that as the ultrasonic is oscillating them around, they don't start clinging off each other, because while they haven't yet, they probably would explode. We have answered something that I never thought I would have the opportunity to answer, which is how much grease is too much grease. And that's not a plastic part. That's not a part. That's grease. It is the definition of too much grease. Here is one that has not been discarded yet. I've gone through half a roll of paper towels. Half a roll of Costco sourced Bounty paper towels. Most of the bearings and plastics have to be discarded. There is the bearings have been completely packed full of grease, and bearings are inexpensive, so there's really no point in anymore. There's no point in servicing bearings. So I am also replacing all the plastics, all the plastics except for the link riser. Look how clean those input gears are. And because of the nature of the input gear, we're going to need to. We're just going to go with the tried and true here. And we'll do it on this one because it's a lot easier. We'll get a little. I just filled this guy, so he's being kind of a butt. There we go. Oh, here he comes. Gotta catch it. He's splooging. I generally go about one nice bead around, and now there's going to be a bunch of positive pressure. There's going to be a bunch of positive pressure in that syringe now, and there is. So just one bead around the gear like that. We will slap the halves together, give it a spin or two. You still, like, there was so much, as young Forrest Gump would say, grease. There was so much grease that the portal box had started to run silent, like they didn't make any noise. Oh, side note, this is intrinsically related. Right over there with the ever-expanding puddle that of thread lock that I'm gonna try not to stick anything into. What are they? Winter Evening? The Winter Evening Winter Storm series. Inexpensive Amazon-sourced bearings. That one says, Winter Evening, Traxxas TRX ... kit. 14-piece TRX4 bearings. That is enough bearings to rebuild the front axle. That's what that bearing set is for. It is the front set of axle bearings. And that's it. It also had this bearing in it, which if memory serves, yes, is the bearing for the locker. That's why there was a bearing that I didn't have to use. I did have to source a fair number from the bearing drawers here, including some that I have now basically depleted my stock of. Like, I can show you, look at the whiteout, the residue on there has whited them out, but it just cleans off. Those are nice. Let's see. Oh yeah. Yeah. Nice. So, if you're shopping for bearings, be aware, particularly if you're rebuilding a TRX4 or TRX4 axles, TRX4s are absolutely chock full of bearings. 4 per portal box. If you have lockers, 3 inside, 5 inside the 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. Yeah, 5 inside each axle. So that means there's 13 in the front axle. There'd be 13 in the rear axle. And then however many are in the gearbox. It's a lot. There's got to be around 40 bearings, give or take, in a TRX4. So you have 14 rebuilds, 1 axle. So there's a portal box. It feels pretty okay. Let's try a front. Let's put a front together. There's grease everywhere. It's very greasy in here. I was getting a little cavalier with setting parts down, and I will undoubtedly pay for that. Rear, front. There we go. As I mentioned an indeterminate amount of time ago, we are going to go all brass in the front. Not big weights, but we are going to do portal box inner and so knuckle and cover. I think we may have gotten to the last use of this syringe. Seeing as it came apart, they do say single use on them. Let's see if our other guy is going to be, yeah, for single use. But we're using them for grease, so we don't have to pay attention to that. Oh, that made a little. Ugh. Ugh. I definitely prefer to have the syringe, the lure lock tip on it. Oh no. Yeah, I like to have the lure lock tip on it for a reason, because that was too much grease. Okay, for the front, I need to reassemble the. Thought it was greasy before until that syringe fired off. I need to reassemble the CVD. There's a lot of, like, all of the plating is worn off, but it doesn't, there's no appreciable wear on any of the moving parts. Also, Traxxas, unlike many others who are out to punish, Traxxas uses the exact same pin to drive the gear, those guys, the output gear, as they do to pin the CVD. And for that, Traxxas, I thank you. Other manufacturers seem to take great relish in making one like a 9mm pin and the other like a 10.1mm pin. These are the same. This bearing was very tight to remove, and it is Oh no! Oh no! Can we? It's very tight. Oh, it's starting to feel weird. Oh, let go. Oh, that's a first. We bear witness to a first, everybody. I've never pinned my finger between the output and the bearing before. Could explain why it was so tight. So then this goes in from the outside, much like this. Brand new bearing from the kit. Oh, very good. Very good. I have a little pile of tiny screws, but before we do the tiny screws, I'm just going to, I mean, if you've ever built a TRX 4 knuckle before, if you do brass, you really do want to put some thread lock in there, because they will all try to back out on you. They will forsake you at a time when you would wish that it's not happening. Yeah, let's. I was gonna go manual, and then I'm like, remember who you are. So we'll get a front slap together. We'll see what this feels like. Luckily, much of the hardware is reusable. You got to tighten them. You go real slow, preferably by hand, not with a power driver, because this is what is going to hold the bearing flat. And I just tend to power blast things together. You know how we do around here. That is. There we go. When it first goes together, when that bearing gets seated in there for the first time, you think it's, look how clean that is. That is, ooh, that is clean. The whole thing is going to get the dry slide. This fella right here is going to get the moly treatment, because this is bare metal. This is bare metal on bare metal out of the ultrasonic. That is plenty of brass, plenty of grease. Oh, that feels great. That feels great. I don't, self-contradictory, I don't worry as much about thread lock on the outside. So the three that hold the bearing in, yes. The rest of these, I have never found it to be as critical, because Traxxas, with the full-blown belt and suspenders, 10 screws holding a portal box together basically mean, oh, that is smooth. That's nice. Basically mean it's impossible for that thing to come apart. So I get to do all of that again. Boring. And then I'll get the wheel hexes on, and then we'll get to, I'm gonna get the grease off of here. Grease. I'm gonna throw away all those plastic parts. They are dead to me. And then we'll rejoin you momentarily as we rebuild this with roughly the same wheelbase, but because we have two drive shafts that are exactly the same. So we don't have two drive shafts. We have one drive shaft twice. I want to see what the tightest I can get away with on the front. I would like to get the back of the steering servo. We are going to throw a good old Amazon Blue case. It's all I got right now. Ordinarily, I would have gone with something a little more peppy, 40, 45 kg. 35 should be fine on the axle. It's not throwing a ton of weight. We're gonna go back out on these. I was digging around and I didn't really see anything that I liked. I will probably order a set off of Amazon, probably something with red on it, seeing as we're operating very thematically today. Oh yes, I'll mention this now because I'll forget it when we're putting the axles on. I drilled all of the plates to 2.5 millimeter, drilled all of the plastics to 1.5, tapped them to 2.5, and replaced all of those Phillips head with 2.5 button heads, which I think looks a lot nicer. There are two spacers that should go there. I don't know if they went walkabout or they were never there to begin with. I don't know. I will likely find something and replace them myself. I didn't pay close enough attention when I took it apart. That's on me. Electronics are in. Radio link receiver is in. Pretty much ready. We cleaned up and debadged the plastics. Cleaned up all the panels. Cleaned up. Everything is pretty clean. Everything is ready to go back together. We will see if we are going to replace these trimmed and shaved plastic SOA mounts. We'll retain the bracket, but we might replace these because I think that somewhere very near to where I'm standing, I have a pair of aluminum ones because we just built a rig with Mias nylons and we went chassis mounted steering. So I have all the parts for the servo and axle. I will gladly donate them to this project to move things along. So I am going to get the rest of the boxes put together. I will get the Traxxas gets their tolerances pretty good. I will get the greases axled up and the screws boxed in, and then we will have 2 axles, and then we will be ready to replace all of these with links that I deem suitable. We will drop the wheelbase potentially to around a 320, 318, 313, somewhere in there. But my goal is to shift everything backwards, to effectively move the skid forward by shortening the front links and lengthening the rear links. Sound fair? Sounds fair to me. We are going to operate off the drive shafts. I wish I had more steel shafts on hand, but in terms of short ones, like that's the shortest one I've got. There's no way we can move the axle back enough to use a shaft that short. So I don't have anything on hand, so we're going to work with what we do have on hand. And I am going to turn my music back on. Who's playing? Who's playing? Is it Atmosphere? I think it's Atmosphere. Idea and Abilities is on Pandora Radio right now. We'll fire that back up. I will see you in a moment after this is assembled and my mat has been delightfully degreased. All right, we are back and we are fully degreased. I haven't hooked up the front end, so we've got loose servo over here. When I say we clean something up, we clean it up. Yeah, cleaned up pretty good there. There's a respectable amount of weight in the front axle. Honestly, all other parts being considered, it's probably 40% weight just in the front axle. So that should be good. Rear axle, it's a little bit of wear. I want to say, is it just me or does that wear pattern appear to match? I think this might be the cover that was on this axle. Just the right amount of grease, pretty nice. We've got this guy ready, electronics installed, as I think I mentioned. It's been a minute. For you, it's been a few seconds. For me, it's been a minute. Drive shaft's installed, everything's put together. All we need to do, the only thing standing between us and rocks are fabricating 8 links, front and rear, uppers and lowers. And to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to set the wheelbase. And let's be fair and frank. Just a moment ago, I think I had a strike of inspiration, which is this. We are going to attach the drive shafts to the axles like that. Flip this over, do the other one, and we are going to use, this is somewhat atypical, we are going to use the drive shafts to set the wheelbase, because we can't go out any further in the back than the drive shaft will go, and we can't go in any tighter in the front than the drive shaft will allow. And secondarily, tertiarily, second or thirdly, we do have shocks to take into accommodation. Now, they are 110s, and they are set up for droop, which will be a benefit for us here, because it will mean that it doesn't really like in their standard length, they are, let's use this thing correctly, 95 eye to eye. So that's not bad. Spanning these on a 95 eye to eye is not going to be remarkably difficult. So I want to get that front, you know what would actually be easier? A little bit of wizardry. Okay, due to the somewhat roundy nature of the bottom of this, we can't quite get it to sit exactly where I want it to sit. But I think right about there is pretty close to where I want it. I didn't tighten the rear end down. We're just arbitrarily sitting at about 320 millimeter wheelbase. Let's get that centered. So we'd be right about there. You know what? That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. So what I will try to do is get this thing flipped over. That is still fairly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to double check. Okay, so if we're right there, let's go real simple stuff. We'll try to measure what does it look like center on center for the lower. That gives us at a front of 115. That's a number that I can work with. So that's about 115. And then in the rear, what we can do, even better idea. Even better idea. So 115 front lower is where we want to be. Sounds good to me. We are going to put a link together to get us 115 front lower. And then we will get a front upper of an arbitrary length that will set the pinion angle right about where I want it, which will get the front axle right about like that. That will be a lot easier to position with the front links in place. Once we have the front end forelinked, we can throw the shocks on, see how that looks. And then we will determine the rear wheelbase. So basically it'll be like this. 10% is kind of the minimum. So if we have a 115 and we wanted to go 15% longer, we'd be looking at a 132 rear. So keep that number in mind and remind me if I try to forget it. I am going to assemble using straight links. We are going to be using regular Traxxas shorts, hopefully all the way around. I don't think there are any links on this that need to be offset, except maybe the rear upper, because that is coming in really tight, even tighter than stock. So we're going to try to, just out of an OCD thing, I try to spec with all the same rod end. We're going to dig through the bin, we're going to dig through the bags. Let us get 115 uppers, and then we can cut, once those are on, I can ballpark what the front uppers are going to be. And then we will try to spec it out. We will then we'll move this out and see where about a 132 or 135 link will fall, and we'll see if the wheelbase looks ridiculous. All right? Okay. Put a couple links together, and then we won't have this whole operation taking place. So if you think back to but a few moments ago when I said I was going to get those front links sorted, I did, and then I got the front links and the rear links sorted. No apologies. Aesop Rock Radio over on the Pandora streaming object over here was En Fuego. I really got into a rhythm of it. We ended up putting shock keys in the rear because I wanted the angle a little more uniform. They were laid way over to the point where it was removing some of the down travel. It looks a little more sorted now. What we ended up with: 115 eye to eye front lowers, 90 eye to eye front uppers, 140 eye to eye rear lowers, 128 eye to eye rear uppers. We have a single set. We have a pair of high clearance here. I think this will help. I'm pretty happy with that angle. We could have probably done 1 to 1.5 turns less on the rod ends, taking it out to a full 130, gotten it just up above. I think because of the height of the pinion, I think we'll be okay. The front, I had honestly wanted to retain more front caster, but the drive shaft was not in a happy place. So we ended up moving to the forward hole. I was going to go middle hole on the 95, which gave us probably, like, we're at maybe 12 degrees of caster in the front. That's just eyeballing. We were probably around 20 degrees front caster before, and I felt like that was more where I wanted to be, but sometimes compromises need to be made, and that drive shaft was really dangling down. I would say the biggest negative here of if I'm gonna chart negatives is this gearbox was not designed to work with this axle. So we've got crissy crossy. It would be a lot better if that just went straight in, but you would need a reversed pumpkin axle, and there's not a lot of those. So we are where we are. I don't think, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it's going to be an issue. I ordered during this recording, not this specific session, not this moment of recording, but during this recording, and that is the video as a whole, I ordered a set of wheels for this thing. Black and red beadlocks, just 105s, which is what I think will look kind of nice. Like Kuwu or one of those Amazon just generic alloy beadlock wheels. I will throw this set of inserts, but probably they're around here somewhere. There is a set of Canyon Trails that I have set aside. Oh, here they are. I have a set of Canyon Trails to set aside to throw in here. Or alternately, also, oh, okay, let me complete the first thought. Jiminy Christmas. Should have been here already, those wheels. Amazon misrouted them almost immediately. The delivery date went from today to 2 days in the future. Now, by the time this episode is live, I should have those wheels and I will have the tires mounted. But for now, we will stick to this because I also had a thought as I was digging the bin. When those beadlocks show up, maybe we just throw them on some pins, either X5 pins or, either S5, XHX pins or S4 pins. We have more than one set of each. And if you're going to run pins on something, why not this? Though I will say, I'm not averse to this look. What I don't know is where we ended up. I put the jig away too quickly. Steer throat, look at, okay, see the spacing. See the spacing, nice and even. For extra fun, here are the endpoint adjustments. And didn't even end up there. It's that the horn, this link, I didn't want to replace it. It's slightly too long. So you can see the horn went off keyed to one side, but it's symmetrically keyed, which is not, it's not a thing that happens. I plugged the light bar in. If you got lights, why not? This is just an Amazon 35 kg. Now, there is significantly less grease. We are sitting, okay, I would prefer to be right about there, like there. I would like static ride height to be about 5, and by that I mean where the body sits, the relative link angles, I would like that to be about 5 millimeters lower. I would have to take the shocks apart and reconfigure them to get this to be 5 millimeters lower. So what was that? Would you like to know what we're not going to do? That, not at this juncture. I am not completely, fully pulling these shocks apart so that I can move springs around, so that I can drop the ride height by 5 millimeters. We're just not going to do that. I want to give this guy a yoga shot. Let me tell you where... Okay. When we're getting that clack, there are little shards of metal falling out of the bottom. What is that? Oh, shnikes. Yep. We have a Flexitronic issue, which this is kind of what this is an unofficial test. So this guy is rock ready minus 2 things. I'm going to show you one thing so I don't forget it. The angle of the drive shaft. See how the drive shaft already has this like wear line on it? When the suspension is compressed this way, we go to sub-zero clearance between that lock nut and the drive shaft. That clack, clack, clack is that lock nut forcibly engaging itself with the slot for the slider shaft. So a thinner drive shaft is one way you could go about this, or alternately, you can take the lock nut off, disconnect the drive shaft, move the drive shaft out of the way, flip it around so that the head of the screw is on the inside and the lock nut is on the outside, and that will increase your clearance by about the necessary 3 millimeters. So that is what we will do, and then we'll take this out and we will wheel it. Also, again, full retraction of anything that might sound like an apology for getting into the weeds of building it with camera off. I want to wheel this thing. A yoga block weighs 173 grams. This guy, he's got an 850 in there. It was what was charged. It was what was nearby. I grabbed it. 2118. That is 4.669. There's that 6.9 again. 4.669 pounds. And I kid you not when I say the core here, and by that I mean this, I would say the shocks and the links, certainly under 2 pounds. I would probably put it somewhere around 2 ounces. I mean, 20 ounces. The most of the weight is the front axle. I think we have just enough brass up there. I'm hoping that the changing of the link spacing previously, one of these is a front lower and one of these is a rear lower, fully symmetrical. Fully symmetrical doesn't really work in most situations. You're going to get better performance if you, I'm just looking at skid forward, not just for the breakover, for the behavior of the way the vehicle transfers weight. So we've got 115 in the front and 140 in the back. 115 divided by 140. So that's 82%. So the rears would be 118%. Yeah, that's a pretty good ballpark guess. Tomato. That's not too bad. I think a change that I would make is we've got these. we might end up doing this anyway. Just a rod here, like unthreaded, and then 2 screws through it, so you get a little pickup carry handle for it. But the only thing we're gonna do betwixt now and when you see this moving around on the rocks outside is a singular thing, which is undo some screws so that I can move a lock nut to the outside of the rail, and we don't. I definitely made a new carve on that, and we don't bind that rear end up. Then we rocks. You know what? For steering that was effectively haphazardly thrown together, amazing. It would need like 5 clicks of sub trim. It has the slightest drift to the right, the very slightest. Slight to the point that I don't think it would even be noticeable on rocks, and I'm hoping that forecast comes true. And don't for a moment think that I wasn't thinking on the drive back, oh God, what if it's worse? What if I went through all this work and bluster and cleaning and covering myself with grease, and then it handles worse than it did before? Wouldn't that imply that he doesn't know what he's doing? But then I remembered, I mean, not back patting, not handing out kudos, but I know what I'm doing a little. If just by pure repetition, I have done stuff like this a couple times. Perfect. So the turning circle. Let's talk about the turning circle. The turning circle is certainly improved because we've got and we've also got just an Amazon Blue Case 35. Like the old servo wouldn't do that. This is not a Pro. This is just the regular $29 35. It's been the bounce around guy. I think it could use a little bit more wheel weight. Yeah, even with how pillowy soft these are, they trend a little firm for 4.6 pounds. Now, the caster. I would have loved to leave the front axle with more caster in it, but I think we would be having drive shaft problems, so. The power delivery is surprising. I mean, it's definitely not overwhelming. It definitely feels underpowered. And by underpowered, I don't mean too weak to move this rig. I mean underpowered in the grand scheme of things. Certainly underpowered compared to stuff that I am used to. And at this point, at the 4.6 pounds, it was mentioned that he filled the shocks with associated 20 weight. If anything, maybe a little heavy damp. That's nice. That's nice. It's not heavy. It's a little heavy. Like I'm talking, well, I mean, we're talking about weight so low. I was going to say, you know, you just put some 15 weight in there. And my brain is like, that's 30% lighter. 33%? Is it 25% or 33%? It is between 25 and 33% lighter. 15 weight would probably be a little closer. I don't think the shock positioning is hyper optimized, but I think it's pretty good. Like, whee. Also, very small skid. It's just the action of the suspension feels a little bit slow. It felt quicker before, but I think that was because we were getting twist. We were getting everything twist because so much power was being dedicated to trying to move all that grease out of the way. Like, we can zip, little bouncy. It's not bad. It's not bad. It is using those canyon trails to the best of its ability. And let me tell you what, the shadows this time of day, they get stark, harsh. Now, to my knowledge, and my knowledge is fairly in-depth because I took the whole thing apart. So, to my inclusive knowledge, there is no underdrive nor overdrive. It is stock gears in both axles, and there's a singular output gear. So we are 0-0. Do I think that this could... If you leave your hat sitting on an outside workbench, an ant will get in it. Then you put on your hat, and an ant will... Hey, everybody! An ant will get inside your hat, and then he will try to crawl into your ear. Do I think that this could benefit from some underdrive, overdrive? Yes. Do I think that these tires are the absolute end of the jams? Not especially. I think that these would do a S4 pin. S4 pin would be great. The thing would be finding an insert soft enough. Greens might be soft enough. Stock foams. Oh, S4 stock foams. Maybe S5 stock foams. I couldn't do S5s right now. It is the afternoon. You can tell it by the shadows. It's too warm. It's about A5 right now. Right about the point where S5 starts to drop off a little. Doesn't collapse, but it definitely does drop off. I really wish that we could have gotten. Also again, yeah, underdrive, overdrive, the AMK pair. I'm gonna have right there. We should get a bit more flex, a little bit more down travel on that passenger front, but it's better. It's certainly better. We've got good extension and compression on the rear. It's just that we can't transfer enough weight through the chassis to get it to force that front end down when the front is up, when the front is light. It is pretty balanced. As I was mentioning, AMK underdrive overdrive pair, which would take us to roughly 20%. I think it's like 19.81 something because we're dividing like 8 into 33. 10 into 30, 1033 and 1035 is what it is. Is that right? That sounds right. Because I think 1034 is stock. Get us in that 19-20%. I think that will make a huge difference in, I mean, would it be fair? Terminal crawlability. The crawlability at the extreme is going to improve. I think we're doing pretty okay. So this phase of the work is the semi-super spa day. We did a spa day. Like we did a full degrease, refreshed plastics, threw on some bits and bobs. We did also relink it, and I didn't measure the wheelbase. I did not measure the wheelbase. We did some stuff. We moved some things around. That's pretty nice. Do I wish it had a little bit more wheel speed? And a little. Yeah, the tires, this particular set of Canyon Trails on this particular set of wheels with this particular set of inserts is fair. I can see, like, you notice that we're not hearing a lot of lug noise. There's not a lot of catch and release. Even with how soft these inserts are, I think that this is a rig. This is a layout that needs more PSI. It needs a narrower tire. S4. Watching it, I haven't been hearing a lot of diff clanging. Maybe you could get away with a class 1. Can I get out of this? Yeah, that heavy damping was helping right there. Yeah, the turning circle is just never going to be super tight. TRX4 axle doesn't have the biggest amount of steering throw, and we had to dial out more caster than I would have liked because of what we have. The output of the transmission is pretty high relative to where the pumpkin of the axle is sitting, because we've got ourselves a certifiable hybrid here. It is peanut butter and jelly. It is two pretty nice things mashed together, so we were having to accommodate accordingly. Like, we get right here and it raises that end up. It drops in real nice right here. Canyon Trail does love itself some slow speed. Look at that. Okay, I'll call it, in the grand scheme, I would say that fair is probably one step below good. Now, I'd say these are good. I don't know if they're pretty good, but I don't think this should be the wheel tire combo on here. Those inserts are as soft as I've got for a Canyon Trail. And I just think that these Canyon Trails can't deflect enough, can't put enough PSI down to be utilized by something that weighs 4.669 pounds. What was that, 2118? But tires are the least a problem that there is. You just change tires. You don't, I don't think setup-wise, I don't think any of the links need to be immediately replaced. I think we did better than that, at least. All right, you see how I did the blind drive over the side, and we've got full compression on driver front, tire to the right, and I don't think that that's full extension on the left. Yeah, now, oh, we were teetering. Let's come across his face right here. It's pretty clingy. He's a little spidery little guy. Let me tell you something. He's really hard to catch. And I think I may have realized what part of that is. While these carbon wheels with their aluminum cores are not the lightest, I think they are too light. I think that this guy can manage a bit more rotating mass because it will help with extension. That front end was lifting in such a way it felt like I was running over something, but I wasn't running over anything. How are we gonna pop here? Ooh. Yeah. any little amount more weight, overdrive, underdrive. That's where I'm sitting right now. Okay. Wheels, which are somewhere in the ether between the Amazon warehouse, less than 6 miles from my house. They clearly sent it the completely wrong direction. I estimate that the tires are in like Louisville, Kentucky. They just shut, and then they were like, whoops, we'll get those back to the warehouse right by your house, and we'll try it again. Those are on the way. I've got a couple of different pins we can try. And I don't want to, well, okay. The short of the long of it is I guess, after everybody in the club getting greasy, I don't want to take any shocks apart. So, I will use that as a convenient and comfortable excuse to wait for the wheel tire combo, the next wheel tire combo test set to be assembled. And then we'll see if the shocks need to be dealt with. The shocks felt better before, which is, well, I guess that is explicable. The shocks were laying down more. They are now stood up more, both front and rear, so they are acting heavier. So maybe that is on me. I'm getting closer. I'm not ready to outright acknowledge that I'm going to have to take the shocks apart. I'm almost ready to admit that I'm going to have to take the shocks apart, and it will be my own fault. I did it to myself. I know I did. So we'll get to that when we get to that. But maybe we can introduce some combo weight, and maybe that combo weight will be significant enough that it will prevent us from having to take them apart. How's that going to rise? Yeah, the Geo looks good. I didn't really change link mount positions. I don't think I really changed overall wheelbase. It looks to me to be right about the same. I should have just set Baseline's body down over the top of it. What I did is I just took length from the front and gave it to the rear. And it does really help keep the front end down. It also feels like there's more steering. That motor is not the smoothest thing that I've ever felt, but reminding myself that this thing does weigh a sprightly 4.69 pounds, 4.669. It is also powered by a 380, a Dynamite 380. It's doing okay. It's doing solidly okay. Oh, that breeze is, how do we classify it? Wonderful. Not quite enough wheel speed at the final, to be expected. Huge amount of reduction coming out of those TRX4 axles. But I think it might actually be enough. Like, it's not blow me away fast. Oh, I didn't even see me catch it. But it's definitely enough. A 380 is definitely enough to move that 4.7 pounds. We're okay. Let's throw it at 5 and call it an episode. In terms of an It's All Content installment, we are definitely in the lengthiest. How many? This should have been like 3 episodes, right? I don't know how to do content good. And there's no coincidence that we decided to end over here, despite even, yeah, it's difficult. And that's fun. But it's also in the shade. Sun is warm. Even that afternoon sun, pretty warm. I'm going to have to figure out, what I'm trying to figure out right here is, where is the line that this thing wants to go? There's a little tiny hole. There's a little tiny hole in the power band. And I think what's happening is at a certain point, I'm getting the drive shaft kind of bound up on something solid, and it takes off just enough of the sauce. There it is. There it is. Okay. Like, did you hear that just instantaneous motor cut? Don't raise. Stay there. What? Oh, that was a Wolverine-esque thud. I'm really glad this little guy hasn't just walked this. Because I want to order some stuff off Amazon, so. Okay, was I too low before, or am I too high this time? Oh, I'm just so glad earlier there was a DX3 in my hand and there isn't now, and that's pretty great. Across the top. Oh, that was beautiful. That's beautiful. 4669. I just had a little John just popped into my head. 4669. That was nice. I don't know if we've walked one across the top of a golf ball and not knocked it off. So I think in terms of spa day closing, solidly okay. I don't think this is the wheel tire combo, as I've said enough times, but we have plenty to sample. I've got class 1 megalithics in there. Ooh, and they're on stock foams. Maybe. Ooh, interesting. We've definitely got some things to try, and we will try some or all of those things. Let's see how long that long wheelbase really is. Let's get up over here. This is a bump fest right here. Doesn't quite have it, and that is okay. I feel pretty good. Oh, let's center frame. Center frame. Give me a zoomie. Give me a zoomie. I feel solidly okay about where we are sitting right now. I don't think that there are changes that need to be made that are wholesale. I would like some underdrive, overdrive. I would like different wheels and tires. Basically, the tuning stuff. You get the wheels and tires and inserts sorted, and you get your shock oil and your springing sorted. I think the geo of what we've made is pretty okay. That 20%, 18% rear length moving, I think made the big difference, and the purging of the grease made the biggest difference. Whatever this little guy is called, this little temper, mind you, tiny temper, ooh, tiny temper, he's pretty all right. He's pretty all right. You will see him again soon-ish. We will get him out on the rocks again. Hopefully with some new shoes. You can hear the groan. We went to wheels. There we go. And now what we're going to go do is put things away and clean up. Look at a little break over here. Nice. I said it needed high clearance in the rear, and I wasn't fibbing. It did, and it has it, and now it's good. I hope you're doing good. I'm doing pretty good. It's late in the day, far later than we ordinarily record, but we wanted to get it done in an overwhelmingly long singular episode. I thank those of you, I thank you all, but mostly I thank those of you who are stalwart enough to have made it to this portion of the program, which is the part where I say, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please do voice them in the comments below. I look forward to seeing you in whatever we have coming up next, and in the meantime, I hope that you one and all do your very best. Have a good one, everybody. We will see you again here from the canyon with whatever shenanigans come up next. I got to put some more pegs in a visitor garage so this little guy has a place to hang, like a little bat, like a little tiny tempered bat.